Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames, back again with another E3 2019 hands-on impressions, and this one really took me by surprise. This was Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, before E3 got kicked off, Nintendo set up a warp pipe distribution system, which is basically a fast pass, if you've ever been to a theme park, for some of their titles at E3 this year. Unfortunately, it was just for Luigi's and Pokemon, which was super weird, because that left Zelda with a 4-hour wait line. Anyways, I decided, screw it, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to play Luigi's Mansion anyways, because why not? And obviously, you've probably seen the videos on the show floor. They had a really giant, huge, themed, like, haunted hotel, very theme park-esque for the play area for Luigi's Mansion, which is pretty cool. But I was always kind of under the impression, like, why? Luigi's Mansion was always sort of, just sort of like a mid-quality title, something that was like AA, not Nintendo AAA, not really all that big of a deal. The last one was a 3DS exclusive. Why was there so much, pomp and circumstance for Luigi's Mansion 3? But getting in and playing the game, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm starting to feel it a little more. I think right off the bat, if you've seen the intro to the game, you see that, oh my gosh, they've put a lot of time and effort into the presentation and animation and visuals of the title. There's a very, prolonged intro sequence of Mario, Luigi, Peach, and the Toads going on a vacation, and Toad's driving a bus, and they're all just going to this hotel resort, yada yada. And it's almost like Nintendo wants to get one step ahead of Illumination before they release their Super Mario Brothers movie in a couple years. So it's kind of like, wow, are we really doing this? We're really going this extra mile? And it's really good, too. It's not just like it's not like a small cutscene. It's not like just photos and text over images. It's like a full-on, like, animated CG movie. So it's actually very interesting to see that from Nintendo, who usually typically shies away from this stuff. But getting into the game itself, though, I have to say I'm also really impressed with the gameplay additions to this game. Now, there is this character, Luigi, or Ecto-1 Luigi, look kind of like a Slimer version of him, which is pretty cool because it adds this dynamic of, like, you can switch to different characters. When you switch from one to the other Luigi to Goo Man, you lose control of the other character. Like, Luigi basically goes dead, or Luigi goes dead when you switch back to Luigi. So it's not like you're not controlling two at once with both analog sticks. It's one or the other. And I have to say, I really like the puzzle elements this brings, because in Luigi's Mansion 1, it was more or less a humping simulator. And in this game, there's way more interactivity going on with the environment. And not only does that come in the fact that you can place two different characters in the same room, it's the fact that you have different abilities. Like, you have the ability to shoot plungers out and then use that to pull stuff off of walls, or rip things open or break holes in walls. And Luigi, he can go through spikes. He can go through bars and stuff like that. So you're getting a lot of really cool things, not to mention the vacuum has suck and blow now, and insert jokes here. And yeah, you have a game that not only is it doing more with its environments on a interactive level, you're actually getting kind of a different look to it, because they have this whole thing, hey, it's in a giant hotel resort. They kind of play with the idea of having way more different types of rooms in it than you would see even just in a mansion. Some of the stuff we've seen is like movie sets and stuff like that, and I've seen these really giant wine cellars, but like there's this area, and you see in the demo where it's very vertical, and you go way down. You have to operate both Luigis to operate a elevator, and it's a lot more interactive. The boss that you fight is this big knight on a horseback, and he requires all kinds of stuff. Like, you have to, like, properly build up a flash in your flashlight and hit him right at the pristine moment, and then you gotta, like, pull his armor off and pull his shield off. So it's not just sort of waiting for the opportune moment. Luigi has this, I don't know if it was in Dark Moon, but he has this ability when you're sucking up the ghost, you can, like, mash the A button and start beating the hell out of them, which is actually really fun and really visceral. So yeah, again, at the end of the day, this is a very cartoony Mario version of Ghostbusters still, but there's way more going on, it feels like this time, in the environments with the puzzle elements than there was in the last game. I mean, you still go around, you still look for ghosts, and then, like, when you see them or you think you see them, you flash them with the flashlight, or you can build up a charge and do like a burst shot. So it's still got that going for it, but it really feels like this time they are putting more effort than ever into making this a really cool, unique thing. And in a weird sort of way, it kind of harkens back almost to a survival horror mentality. Not in the scariness necessarily, but in the way the game plays, because it still plays with more or less static camera angles or like side view of the rooms you're going in. And the puzzles can be based on your viewpoint and what you can actually see, and hiding things in view from the camera, doing stuff like that. So if you kind of missed that sort of Alone in the Dark, Resident Evil style of both viewpoint and puzzle solving element, you kind of get it here in a very different way. I mean, you're not going to be, you're not going to be as scared as Luigi when like ghosts or creatures pop out of stuff. It's just because it's just such a cartoony game. But at the same time, I think there'll be a lot to like here as far as the gameplay goes, as far as puzzle solving goes, as far as exploring even goes, making use of trying. Yes, you can still go around and like hump all the furniture and try to find all the little coins and money and doodads that are hidden all throughout every room. But it actually just, it obviously looks really good now, but it also just, I like the way that they've incorporated more to it. So it feels like a much more realized, fully fleshed out version of the original Luigi's Mansion. I don't know how it's going to play as far as missions or level structure goes, because I remember in the first game there was sort of this back and forth between you and EGAD in the basement. EGAD talks to you over an intercom in the game, but in the demo I played, there was no there's no like mission select. You just kind of like, it just dropped you right in the middle of the game. There was no I have no idea if it's continuous, if it's level based. I have no idea. Maybe they've explained that on Treehouse. I don't know. I just know that this title is actually turning out probably a lot more surprising for me than I initially expected. Now, does that mean I'm gonna necessarily jump in and buy the game? I don't know about that. I think if you like the original games or you like the idea of them, I think this is definitely something you should keep your eye on. If you're like me, and I bought the first Luigi's Mansion and I beat it in like a day, it still kind of feels a little bit like, yeah, you know what, I could probably rent this for a couple days and get all I need to get out of it. But I don't know. There is multiplayer modes. Didn't get to try that, and there is going to be other things probably to try to make the replay value a little higher on this one, but. Yeah, I don't know. Personally, for me, it's kind of like, well, this is actually a nice quality title, but it's kind of in that sort of Kirby and Yoshi for the Switch level of like, well, this is a nice game. Probably not going to buy it, but I'm glad it exists because it definitely fills like a niche that the Switch kind of doesn't have right now. Now, Kirby and Yoshi really didn't, but this game actually does kind of fill up a slot of genre or gameplay that Switch doesn't really have too much of right now. I mean, you can buy Resident Evil Remake Remaster HD Remake and Resident Evil 0 Re-Release Remaster HD. Those are on Switch now too, so you can get a little double whammy here. But this is a brand new game, so this is going to be, I think, a treat for people who kind of like stuff of that genre and nature. So yeah, this is one of the surprises of the show. One of these surprises, not just because it had a big old fancy booth, but because it was actually just a darn fun game to play. Let me know what you guys think of this title, and are you going to pick it up? And I will see you on the channel later, dudes.